We begin this episode getting our first glimpse of the DCU's Gotham City. We see our human, Dr. Phosphorus, jump out of a moving vehicle. He's captured by Rupert Thorne's goons. As they drag him towards their boss, he looks up and Rupert Thorne tells him, "You know how this works. You're not going anywhere." It looks like Dr. Phosphorus got involved with the wrong crowd. I can't wait to learn more. We cut to the current day and see him hiding in a dumpster, waiting for Princess Rostovic's guards to be no longer in sight. He gets out of the dumpster and calmly walks out of the alley. Suddenly, we catch up with the princess. One of her guards informs her they lost sight of our team of monsters. The princess angrily orders her guards to find and kill the Creature Commandos. Next, we see Nina and the bride run into each other in a dark alley. They notice the royal guards closing in on them and quickly enter a door. It's revealed they entered a brothel and sought refuge at the establishment after the bride basically threatened the madam at gunpoint. The bride can definitely be a little intense. Two royal guards knock on the door and enter the brothel. One of the sex workers explained they must have seen two of her co-workers return from the store. The guards leave. The madam, clearly turned off by the bride threatening her, tells the bride and Nina, "We helped you, now you can leave." While peeking out of the window and seeing more guards walk by, the bride responds, "I think we'll stay a while and let the air clear." Now we see Amanda and John Economos rushing Rick Flag to the emergency room. It's revealed he has internal injuries and a broken back. Without knowledge of him running into Clayface, a nurse gives them a description of a 7-foot-tall green monster being with him. John Economos immediately recognizes she's describing Frankenstein and tells Amanda if he told him about the bride's whereabouts, he can disrupt the mission and prevent her from assassinating the princess, which will start World War III, according to Cersei. The doctor informs them they must stay in the waiting area. Amanda instructs John Economos to get operatives to monitor the airports immediately. In the next scene, we see Frankenstein hijack a private plane by killing the passengers. The pilot walks in on him, choking someone to death, and surrounded by bloody corpses. He gives a whole psychotic speech about love to explain why he's doing this and tells the pilot to do what he does best and turn the fuck around and fly. I have such conflicting feelings about this character. On one hand, I think he's hilarious, but I also think he's a bully who think he can just harm people without consequences, and that's way too needy. Weasel stumbles upon a pack of wolves and notices he's surrounded and outnumbered. I think he can take all of them, but after running away from the guards, our furry friend might be exhausted at this moment. Let's hope he finds a way out of this. Dr. Phosphorus continues to hide from the guards. He enters a married couple's home by burning the doorknob. He looks around and is triggered by their wedding photo. We get a flashback of him and his wife having a discussion about the people he's doing business with. She expresses that she's worried about him and doesn't trust these individuals. Clearly, she's referring to Rupert Thorne and his crew. We cut back to the current day and the little girl walks in the room and greets him. We cut back into the flashback, and now we see that Rupert and his goons ambush our human Dr. Phosphorus home. They reveal they deleted his wife and daughter. Rupert orders his goons to force his fingerprints on everything as Dr. Phosphorus is crying so he can be framed for eliminating his own family. This is so sad. I really feel bad for Dr. Phosphorus. The criminals in Gotham are so ruthless. Did Rupert really need to take his family away from him? In the current day, Weasel manages to calm the wolves by initiating a game of fetch with them. It looks like our friend has dodged a bullet. Back at the brothel, the madam tries to recruit the bride. The bride tells her she respects herself. The madam, trying to put her pimp game down, tells her, "You use your body to inflict pain instead of pleasure. This is how you respect yourself?" I love some good horror philosophy. Two drunk clients walk in and aggressively slap one of the sex workers on her behind as she escorts them upstairs. The bride looks at the madam and says, "This is respecting yourself." I love the bride. She wasn't buying what the madam was selling at all. Next we see Dr. Phosphorus sitting with the child as she eats cereal. We get another flashback and we see that Rupert Thorne's goons are searching for files to the doctor's cancer research. He finds information Dr. Phosphorus hid from him and accused him of trying to con him. He orders his goons to lock him in a radiation machine he was using for his cancer research. As our doctor is screaming from pain, we see that he transforms into the metahuman we see today. They leave him for dead and exit the lab. Well, he clearly survived, so I predict these mobsters are going to regret their actions later. The madam hears a loud noise and one of her girls screams. She walks in the room to check on her employee and discovers she's being beaten. The madam confronts the gentleman and explains her rules. He reveals he's a metahuman by displaying his electric powers and pushes madam out of the way. He proceeds to approach the sex worker again, but Nina and the bride save the sex worker from being beaten. Nina breaks a bottle over his head and tells him to stay away from her. I've been waiting for Nina to show us she has some bite to her. It's nice to finally see it. He and the bride have a brief fight. She breaks off his arm and rips out his heart and leaves his lifeless body on the bed. Let me tell you something, the bride is nothing to play with. They leave the brothel so they can finish their mission and have a bonding moment as they walk down the alley. We cut to Weasel being woken up by the sunrise. He looks at the castle and seems to remember his mission. He looks like he doesn't want to leave his new friends, but does the responsible thing and begins walking towards the Princess Rostovic's castle. We get another flashback and we get a montage of Dr. Phosphorus getting revenge on Rupert Thorne and all his goons. I'm glad to see this because what they did to him was unnecessary and it's what they deserve. We see that he takes over Rupert's businesses and is living his best life. We get a cool dance sequence with him at the Iceberg Lounge. He's getting down in his nice pimp outfit. Suddenly, the lights shut down. He looks up and we get our first glimpse at the DCU's Dark Knight. Oh my god, I knew Dr. Phosphorus is a Batman villain, but I totally wasn't expecting this nice surprise. It's a silhouette, so I predict James Gunn isn't fully committed to a design yet, but it's nice to get a glimpse of him. Little surprises like this truly makes this world feel really fleshed out and inhabited by so many characters. We cut back to the current day and see him playing with the little girl. Her parents walked in the room. He stops and kindly asks them if they can point him in the direction of the castle. They do so, and he simply leaves. We see Amanda at Rick Flagg's bedside, hoping he wakes up so she can get information out of him. She pleads by telling him he's too stubborn and too old to give up on her now. Frankenstein is getting off his hijacked flight. He tips the pilots, unboards from the plane, and says, "Home, sweet home." I guess he at least paid them for the inconvenience he caused them. Lastly, we see the Creature Commandos meet up with each other and have a cool slow motion shot of them walking towards the Rostovic castle. The episode fades to black. This was another good episode. I enjoyed learning about Dr. Phosphorus' origin story. His personality is so different than it was when he was a human. But I guess all the trauma Rupert inflicted on him really affected his brain, because he comes off as a totally different person. However, it's now clear that he's carrying a lot of pain under his outlandish personality. I also love seeing him become part of Gotham's crime scene and partying at the Iceberg Lounge, which means the Penguin already exists in this universe. His backstory provided some nice world building and revealed how James Gunn plans for this universe to be already established with active heroes and villains. We got our great bonding moment with Nina and the bride at the brothel. I'm just happy to see Nina Mazursky finally show some chutzpah. I'm also happy that Weasel managed to still be alive. Lastly, Rick Flag is down and out right now and Amanda Waller needs information from him. We all know he'll be in the upcoming Superman movie and Peacemaker Season 2, so he's obviously going to survive this, but will probably be out of commission for a few months. I think the writing in this episode was really good and the quality of the animation continues to remain consistent throughout the series. Overall, I rate this episode a A-. If you like this review, please like, comment, share, and subscribe.